It is a great joy and honor to come into your homes and your minds with a message of empowerment and enlightenment. This is Emmanuel Benson, a co-founder of the Eagle Mentality Group. And at the Eagle Mentality Group, we teach and propagate information about the power of thought, universal laws and principles, and how these laws and our thinking comes together to create our realities. All human beings that have ever lived, and those of us that are still alive, and those who are yet to come, we create our own realities. Whatever circumstance, whatever situation that you are going through, it was not imposed on you by any higher power, but you taught it into being. And so you create your own realities, both collectively as groups and individually. And so it is about time we become awakened to this fact. And as I've always been saying, you don't have to agree with this statement. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to believe it for it to be true. Because there are a lot of things that are in our world that previously we never had knowledge about it. You were born as a child. When you were in your mother's womb, even when you came out and you were lying down as a baby, up to a point that you were able to analyze it, you had no knowledge about your digestive system. But the fact that you didn't understand how the food in your tummy digests didn't actually mean that that particular thing doesn't exist. So your knowledge about something or your ignorance about something doesn't actually negate it. But the fact is that we discover it and then we work with it. And so that is it. We create our own realities. And today we are going to continue our conversation from where we left yesterday. Yesterday I spoke about chieftaincy. We are looking at the quest for uniform and sustainable development across Africa, using Ghana as an example. Now, as I've always been saying to my brothers and sisters who are not Ghanaians, I'm using Ghana as an example because the Ghana situation is something that I know from birth and experience. And so I'll be able to speak to all things in Ghana without any ambiguity, without any uncertainty than any African country, you say. But whatever I'm saying is applicable to almost all African countries. If you don't have chiefs in your, I know you don't have chiefs, you have tribal leaders, you see. And this is the same system, traditional rulers, you see. And so today we are looking at the quest for uniform and sustainable development in Africa, using Ghana as a case study, with our radar on chieftaincy or traditional rulership. But before we go on, permit me to make this appeal to you that if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please click on the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel, and so that you will receive our updates all the time. Anytime we post the videos and content, you get the notification. If you have already done that, we just want to say we salute you and God bless you for doing such a good work. But I also want to appeal to anyone that if you want to be part of this project physically, especially if you are in the Toronto area, the greater Toronto area, and you want to be part of it physically, leave a comment in the comment section and I will get in touch with you for us to pick it from there. Apart from that, if you want to contribute in any way to this project too, you are at liberty to leave a comment and let us see how we can connect with each other for us to move forward. You see, so having done this exercise or this kind of exercise, now let's move on to the topic. So the topic I spoke on yesterday was about chieftaincy. And as I explained, Africans, we are not the only people that are practicing chieftaincy or traditional rulership. Everywhere, the beginning of life, we were living under that leadership. But as we grow, based on our evolution, some people were able to evolve this leadership into something that we now have as the Western type of leadership, you see. But today, as Africans, we have been brought into it, whether it was by design of the divine or it was a mistake, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We are in the middle of it. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, how can we take the situation where we are now and create something that will mirror the kind of evolution that all human beings are, the stage of human evolution, you say. And so if you go to a place, mostly, especially if you go to Africa, our leaders who have money, the businessmen who have enough money, they buy plane tickets, they take visas, they go to US, they go to Britain, they go to Germany, not for any reason, just to go and see how those places are and take pictures and bring it home. That increases their social status. They will use it to brag and tell people what they've seen. And it is one thing seeing something and wish to have it. And it is another thing having or taking the practical steps to actually create that thing for yourself, you say. And so what we are talking about, when you go to any developed world, the things that we see that we desire, we say they are developed, were not something that they left down for it to happen on its own, but it was deliberate. People took it upon themselves to actually create systems and structures such that the thing works. Normally we say they have good leadership, but it is not, that statement is partly true and partly false. It is not that they have good leadership, but they have good systems and structures, such that any leader that comes in, he works within the systems, the structures, you see. And so the development we see in Europe or North America was a deliberate thing. Europe in particular, North America, when they came to settle here, they didn't actually have the issue of kings and queens and other things. But Europe, Britain and other parts, they were living under kings until they actually changed it to what we call the modern democratic system, you see. And so the governance of our nations that we have now is like a cake, an icing. If you have a better cake and you put the icing on, anyone that sees it will admire it. But if the cake is not strong and you put the icing on, the whole thing will fall apart, you see. That is how it is. And so the beauty, the wonderful things that we see in other worlds, they took practical steps to create it. And if we desire it, if we really want to have it, then we have to take the practical steps to create it ourselves. And the creation is what we are talking about, you see. And so chieftaincy has become a very sensitive thing in our lives because we see it as our tradition. And the chiefs are our leaders based on our tribes. And because we have strong tribal sentiments, what the chief says actually becomes what we follow, you see. Because it is who we form part of the tribe. You cannot fight against your own people. You see, so that has created this kind of confusion that when we talk of national unity and standing for the national interest in Africa, Ghana in particular, it is not practical. Because when the one person is asked to choose between the tribal interest and the national interest, people will choose the tribal interest. That is why we have people who goes into governance, then they take money or they say they are biased, they are tribalistic, you see, because they want to please their people, their tribal people, you see. So now, how can we create a system that will begin to devalue this tribal sentiment? And the first step is to, re-evaluate the role that the traditional rulers play. This is a common and sensible thing to do. You see, such that we'll be able to create proper structures that our political system will run through, that will have this uniform development. You see, and so when you look at it that way, you will see that we'll be able to do everything. As a matter of fact, if you go to any developed world, Britain or whatever, the statement is that, or the real situation is that governance begins, or the first level of governance is the town. The first level of governance is the town. And so the government that they have in the town is the same government that they have in Westminster, if you take Britain for instance, but at a higher level. So when you go to any town in Britain, if you go to any village, even villages, they put them together as a community. They are not being led by traditional rulers. They used to have traditional rulers. They were living in tribes. But even long time before they came to us, they abolished all those things, and then they took up what they have now. And that has brought about what we see today as their development that we want to copy. We want to copy, you see. And so the first level of governance is the town. And if you don't have the right governance or government at the town level, whatever you do at the top or at the national level will not work. Because the town or the local administration is the legs and the hands of the national government. And so if you don't have these structures put in place, whatever you are doing is not going to work, especially when we want to try here. So we will have our leaders coming to stand there and give us these flamboyant promises that they are going to do this, they are going to do that. Believe it or not, with our current structures, especially the local administrations, there is nothing that any government, anyone can do for it to see any development. We can put up the structures and things for the people, but in a couple of years, those things will begin to, fall apart because there is no way to maintain it, to sustain it, you said. And so how to maintain and sustain this thing on a longer level and continue to produce more is what I'm telling you. And so much as we love our chiefs, much as they are our traditional rulers, much as they are connected to our tribes, the time has also come, we have also come to the point that we need development, we need progress. And for us to have this, we must begin to organize our towns and villages and communities based on the political structure, and that is strengthening the local administration. It is not the work of the central government to produce ordinary road between a village and a village. It is not the work of the central government to provide even a shopping mall. It is not the work of the central government to provide the basic amenities that we need as people at this age for us to live comfortable or for us to be seen as developed. But it is the work of the local administration, beginning from the town, then running to the municipalities. So the municipalities are those that run the local area with the help of the town administration, and they initiate projects and develop the area. So when municipality 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they all do the same thing, and you put it in together as a nation, you have a developed world, a developed nation. The central government only acts or help them with funds, or sometimes initiate projects that are at their level. Then it comes through all the municipalities. You have a developed nation, you see. And so now our system that we have, the traditional rulers as part of our local authorities, our local administration, is something that, whether we like it or not, we have to look into and restructure it. We have to. The resources, as I stated yesterday, the resources that are needed for us to be able to develop the area are controlled by people who are not elected leaders. And therefore, the people cannot hold them accountable. Then we turn around and we appeal to the central government for help, you see. And so that is why this education is very necessary. It is not that I'm speaking against the traditional rulers or whatever, but as a matter of fact, as I'm speaking right now, if you go to Ghana or even any part in Africa, almost all our traditional rulers are educated people. They have traveled and have seen things all over the world. So when you, the leader, as a traditional leader, you come home and sit down and blame the central government that they are not doing the right thing, then you are not saying the truth. Wherever you have been to, wherever you have visited in the developed world, the central government has only some few things that they do, but they delegate most of this responsibility to the local administration. And now in Ghana and other African countries, the local authorities, that is the political local authorities, don't have power. They don't own land. They don't own resources. You see, even taxes and other things, sometimes it becomes a kind of a clash because the traditional rulers want to take a contribution or whatever from the people, and then the central government also come in. You say, this is a kind of clash and confusion that we are creating. But the fact is that if you want to get a better result with the system that we are running right now, the Western democratic system, then there is the need for us to bring about deliberate reforms and empower the local administrations. Every town must have a council, and with elected members, one of them serving as a mayor. If you come to this part of the world, that is how it is. I will use United Kingdom because Ghana was a British colony, and most of the things that we are doing, we inherited it from them. Everything that you are seeing, it was done at the local level. Even the laws and other things that you were seeing, most of them are bylaws and things that are made at the local level based on the circumstances that they are facing. You see, so when you look at this, and you come home, you say you've traveled, and you come home and blame the central government, then your assessment may not necessarily be true. You see, those of us that are in this part of the world, I am appealing to all of you. All of us have traveled here for our own purposes, but some of us, we have taken this as our job, you see. But the only thing we have to do is to think of how we go home and help. We always talk of we are going back home to help. Those in Ghana too are telling us that we should come back home to help. But it is not necessarily taking money home to help. We've got enough evidence of those who have taken money to back home to help that the money never helped. But when you have ideas and you develop the ideas and you implement them, the ideas will grow to bring wealth into the life of everyone, you see. So this is how it is done. Every town in Ghana, if I am in the seat, sitting in the seat of the president today, His Excellency John Mahama, this is what I would do. Every town will have its own administration. And it is not just these loose unit committee members that they are, no. There will be proper education, proper training that educated people with educational background will contest in every town for them to be elected. The town will be divided into wards or into sections. So each section is represented by one person. So they do these elections as we do the national level or what we do the district level you say. So when we do this, those people are responsible for the running of the town. Each town within each municipality. And all of them rising up to become part of the municipal authority. And therefore, whatever they do is within the authority of the municipality or the district. If we do this town, the other town, all these towns are doing their own project, initiating projects and generating revenue from their own level, then they develop the place. We can have uniform and sustained development within every town or in every part of the country, as a matter of fact. So if you want to see or if you want to experience what other people have done, then you must be ready to pay the price that they have paid. And the price that they have paid is what I'm telling you. Much as we are so glued to our traditional rulership, our tribes and other things, it has also come to the point that the cry of every Ghanaian citizen, every African, is improvement in our lives. And we cannot keep on holding on to this and then seek improvement in our life. We have to take the practical steps. And that is why this education is being offered to you. And as I've always been saying, I am not making a proposal to the president of Ghana. No. I am making a proposal to you, the ordinary person. Listen to this. And if you want, conduct your own research. You will see it now because of internet. Young guys, young men and women, even in the village, if you Google the local administration structure in Britain, you will see this thing wherever you are. You see, and so if you want your area to be developed, this is what you have to begin to talk about. This is why you need to be demanding from the leaders. You see, we need proper structure. We need to streamline our administrative structures. And the key thing is to give the local authorities power to generate revenue, to control the resources of everywhere, such that we'll be able to use the resources to generate revenue and to develop the area. The central government only give us grants to support it, such that things that our revenue is not able to do, we get a part of it from the central government. You see, when we do this, we will no longer sit down and appeal to people from where today, if you go to Ghana, this chieftaincy thing, even we are using it for money. Ghanaians are using chieftaincy for money. They take a white person, an European or an American, then they install the person as the developmental chief. They are not doing it because he is in the tribal line, by doing it for money. But as a matter of fact, let a prominent, a rich person within the same community who is not within the tribal line also apply for him to be installed as developmental chief. They would stone him alive. They'll stone him to death. As a matter of fact, you see. So whatever we are holding down, look, we've already corrupted it. The fact that we go and take a white person, an European, I'm not being racist, but I'm just describing what is happening, and install a person because he is able to help you to get developmental projects in your community. Then why wouldn't you also give that opportunity to your fellow African, your fellow Ghanaian, to do that? Even recently, there was even an issue that a group of Nigerians actually installed one of them as a leader of one of the Nigerian Igbo or Yoruba tribes in Ghana. It became a big issue. But we are installing other people, Europeans and Americans, as our developmental leaders. You say, the fact is that this thing is a confusion. Your development is not in the chief. The development in your area, the development in your locality is not in the chief. It's in the local administration. It is in the local authority, the political one. So when we have our municipalities well structured, with the towns and everything running, we put all of them together from the grassroots to the top. Then we have a uniform and sustainable development. That is how it is done everywhere. So this is the time we have to wake up. We are impeding our own progress. No one is blocking our progress. It is us, because we are not proactive. We are not sensitive to reforms. We don't take practical steps deliberately unless someone comes to suggest it to us, also they come to force it on us, you see. So this is the time we have to begin to have this conversation. We need development. We have to open up the country. We have to develop the country such that wherever any person will come to Ghana, the person goes, the person will feel that, this is a well-organized place. This is a beautiful place, you see. And as I said yesterday, it is something that is so dear on my heart, that we will have a housing scheme. The housing scheme will be a partnership between the people and the government. Everyone, you can't buy a land from any traditional ruler or anyone, but you buy it from the local authority. We have a proper structure, and you cannot even buy a land and put up without actually applying for the permit to do that according to the line, the plan that we have for the town. We'll be able to streamline all these things such the way that will help the poor people to have decent but affordable accommodation to live in, such that every village, every town that you go, you see this development. And as I said, we are not going to use even foreign materials, foreign technology. We're going to use the local materials. To be honest with you, the brick and then the mortar, the brick that is made from mud, the gravels and this thing, we can do that and use little cement to do them as mortar and have proper, well-structured houses with proper drainage, such that we'll have a kind of every house will have a water closet at a point at all. That we can have the drainage system that we can drain them periodically. You see, all these things have to be done by the strong administration. It is not the chief and his elders. It is not the work of, that is not their work. So the chief must be retired. They must sit somewhere, whether we like it or not, and allow the political administration to flourish. That is a fact. That is a fact. At this point, why should you go to a place that when you visited a community, they have one common place that they call toilet, and this thing is blowing fuels all over the town? Even in Accra and big cities, you still have this system. By now, the human being has grown past that. The human being has grown past that. It is not about KVIP. It's about helping people to put up structures, houses with proper drainage, that it is water closet in every house. No one goes out to any place that is going to a place of convenience. You say, this is how we develop. This is what foreigners will come and see, and then they will define us as a developed nation. But if a foreigner, a traveler comes and he has to go and sit in or line up in a certain dirty place, that is where he's going to the toilet, that is not development. That is not development. And so let us begin to look at this, whether we like it or not. Our traditional rulership is not helping us in our quest for national unity. National unity. Our traditional rulership is an impediment to national unity because they are leading tribes, and each tribe is agitating on it for its own purpose, you say. And how can you talk of unity in this? But if we have a political system that we elect people, not on tribal basis, but once you qualify and you stand, you are elected. And if you do well, they re-elect you for a certain number of terms, and then you go away, another person comes. All these things will be put to bed, and we will have a better system that we are running. We are a new people. You are a unique people, different from our ancestors. You see, different from our forefathers who lived before us, because what we are going through, what we experience, they never experience it. This is our generation. The children, our descendants, or those who are to come after us, they will be higher versions of us. That is human movement, evolution. And as we go up, we leave old things behind, then we create newer things, because you cannot live in the present. You cannot live in the present practicing the past tense, you say. So that is where we are, whether we like it or not. This Western democracy, whether it was imposed on us or not, this is the system that we have. It has now become the world order. So the best thing is to look at how to make it work better for us. And for it to work better, it is not going to happen. That improvement in the life of people is not going to happen by the work or through the work of the central government, but it will happen only through the work of the local authorities, the municipalities, and then the town councils. They are those that are going to do the work. And when we put it all together, it becomes the outlook of the national government. And then the national government take the glory. That is how it is. You see, so please, let us wake up. It is time for us to wake up. It is time for us to call a spade and do the right thing. It is time for us to do the right thing. We have everything that is needed for us to be developed. And as I stated the other day, the housing system, you don't really need any block or whatever you say, but it is about planning and arrangement and executing the planning and maintaining it. Even if it is thatch houses, but we have added value to it, and we've ordered them in a way. We've planned the town, we maintain the town, we provide basic facilities. It will still be a sign of people who are developed, rather than this kind of unplanned, scattered way of living. That is a fact. And so, please, that is my message for you. And let us wake up, my fellow Africans. It is time for us to take our destiny into our lives, our hands, and to develop and to create and develop a life that is befitting our current dispensation. And that can only be done when we put the right thing in the right way. And one day, we will tell our children that we used to have chiefs as the leaders of our town. But as we have evolved, this is what we've created. And this is the system we are running now. And therefore, we are moving and we hand it over to them. If we just sit down there, we are protecting the traditions made by our forefathers. Then we will hand it over to our children. The question is, what are we also doing to hand it over to our children and our children's children? Because we become the ancestors of our children and our children's children. But if you are just giving what your ancestors, your father, or those who came before us to them, then the question is, what are we doing? It means we, those in the middle, we are just living, we are not doing anything. But that is not how evolution works. So that is my message for you. Be empowered and be enlightened, and let us team up. If you're a chief, if you are a king, whatever, I am not against any person as a person, but it's the institution of a chieftaincy that we are looking at how best we can transform or evolve our system such that all of us will have a better life, so that we don't even have to travel to other places to see beautiful things, but we have created the beautiful things ourselves and enjoy them. Thank you. But before I sign off, I just want to appeal to you. If you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, and also keep on circulating the messages. And let us bring this message of empowerment and enlightenment. If you want to be part of this project, please leave a comment, and then I'll connect with you. Together, we bring Ghana and Africa to another level. Thank you, and God bless you.